This is EntreEd Talk, the podcast for entrepreneurial educators by entrepreneurial educators. We are your hosts, Toy Hirschman and
Amber Ravenscroft. This podcast is created by the National Consortium for Entrepreneurship Education, or EntreEd for short. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of EntreEd Talk. I'm super excited to be here with my good friend, Sherri Clark. Sherri is the current Director of Workforce Solutions at Southeast Kentucky Community and Technical College. She was born and raised in Benham, Kentucky in Harlan County, and she received her associate degree from Southeast Kentucky and a bachelor's from Eastern Kentucky University. She lived and worked in Louisville, Kentucky for 15 years before returning closer to home to work for the college. She's been working for Southeast Kentucky CTC for 16 years, 8 of those in workforce. Welcome, Sherri.
Hi, Amber. Thank you for having me this morning.
I am so excited. For those that are listening, I've been trying to get Sherri on the podcast for literally months, but she is quite a busy individual. So I do want to, Sherri, dive in a little bit to your own career path. I know you were born and raised in Kentucky, and there's a lot of folks that EntreEd works with in that region. So what led you to where you are today and kind of your own journey in your career?
Well, actually, when I got through with my bachelor's degree at Eastern, I was one of those people, if you want to say it that way, who unfortunately did not want to come back home to Harlan County.
Okay, I can
So I had family that lived in Louisville, and I went up there and I worked part-time as a bank teller. And then I got a job with a insurance brokerage firm, and that was where I was for 16 years, mostly in the accounting department. So the opportunity came up. I received a call from my dad who said they're looking for a business officer in the business office at Southeast, the campus they have in Middlesboro. Well, this will tell you how long I had been away. I said, oh, when did they put a campus in Middlesboro? So I thought, well, maybe it's time to get a little closer to home. And so I called the HR director and I spoke with her. And about 3 short months later, I was here in Middlesboro working in the business office. So that's where I started. Here on campus. At that point in time, Dr. Vic Adams, who is now our president, was the Dean of Community and Economic Development here at the college. He had the adult ed department under him. There was a lot of budgeting, reporting, and things that needed to be done, and that's how I started my working relationship with him. 8 years later, their position came open in workforce, and I just kind of jumped at it. And what drew me to it is that you can honestly say you don't do the same thing every day. I don't know how to describe it other than it just being a diverse department. I mean, we're doing everything from entrepreneurship to welding classes to customized training for companies that make popsicle sticks. And, now we're on board with apprenticeships. And so it just changes constantly. And that was kind of exciting to me. So you don't get bored.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And even though I've been in workforce for 8 years, I'm a newbie. I mean, you learn every day. So with just 8 years under my belt, I don't feel like that's been a whole lot of time. But it's definitely a learning experience and very exciting.
Yeah, can we talk a little bit, because through the EntreEd NACI partnerships and our work with Adventure and NCRD, that's when I got introduced to the community college world. So what exactly does the workforce department do? Like for somebody that's listening that's completely unfamiliar with the community college landscape, what is the goal of workforce?
Well, actually what our goal is to put skilled workers in jobs. I mean, if you want to just put one sentence to it, that's what it is, but it encompasses so much more. We work with business and industry to see what their needs are, what kind of workers they need. But we also take on the role of community involvement.
Okay, cool.
So we're going to get out there and we're going to, like the EntreEd initiative has given us the opportunity to work closer with our K through 12 schools. We work with small businesses. The Small Business Development Center is under the workforce umbrella here at the college. And it allows us to work with community partners. What do they need? It could be they have 2 or 3 people they need some computer training for. We do continuing education workshops where we keep HVAC, plumbing, electrical licenses. That's where they come, they get, renew their licenses and that kind of thing to keep all that up and running. We work with apprenticeships. So our main goal is to develop trainings that existing and new companies need to either get new skilled workers or upskill the workers they already have. But it is so much more. We jokingly refer to ourselves as the catch-all.
Yeah.
So we have a task and we have, our purpose in our department, but it branches out to several different things. And like I said before, that's another thing that just makes it a very interesting and fulfilling job.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the best things that I love about my work at the Adventure Group is our mission is education and innovation. And that's so, flexible with what you decide you want to do. And I love that you describe it as a catch-all because I think that in itself is really entrepreneurial because you have to come up with, trainings and certificate programs and different offerings that are really relevant to the current landscape. So you can't get stuck.
Right.
That's awesome. Yeah. So what are some of your current projects that you're really excited about that are taking place we'll dive into the EntreEd ones a little bit later, but maybe some others that you'd like to highlight.
Well, what we've got going on is we have with our college, it's called Selling to the World Initiative. And we have been doing this for several years, but for the past couple of years, we have been able to run this initiative through Power ARC money.
Okay.
So it has been really exciting working with those guys. Basically, what brought this along was that, we're trying to promote entrepreneurship within an economically disadvantaged part of the state. And we're working in Eastern Kentucky, Tennessee, and Virginia are our counties. And what we try to do is provide personalized one-on-one mentoring and workshops that will kind of help creative people who want to start up a business, mostly trying to get them to sell online. That's how they kind of get the bug, I think, is they realize that, hey, this hobby that I have can be a good thing. So I know that falls into the entrepreneurship, but that's something that we're pretty proud of.
I'm really interested in this one because we had talked briefly when we were together a couple weeks ago about the local artisanship in Appalachian communities. And that's kind of what you're focusing on uplifting, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Could you talk a little bit about that? Because I don't know if everyone, we're a national podcast, so a lot of people might not be as aware of what Appalachian artisanship looks like. So maybe an example of a couple of the people that you're working with.
Oh, goodness. We have...
Yeah, I know. It's, oh, goodness, right. There's so many.
There are so many. We have... and they're so creative. That's the funny thing. And now I'm hoping that a few will come to mind here. But we have people that will take coal because we are in coal country here.
Yeah.
They'll make jewelry from pieces of coal. They will take bottles and kind of make like spoon rest and just little bowls and things out of them. They will take tires and they'll paint them and they'll make planters out of them for a garden or for just, a front porch flower pot even.
Yeah. You get to the resourcefulness of a population of people that are considered from anybody on the outside of Appalachia. I mean, I grew up in Appalachia, so I'm really well versed in the culture, but people outside often think that we have this stigma but the Appalachian people are so resourceful.
We are, and we've had to be.
Yes. And
I think that's where that comes from. It's instilled in us from generations long ago on how to do that.
Within that community, I think people recognize that, but the ability to sell that on a digital, we're in a digital workplace, a global workplace because of the internet. And so that giving them access to that and training them how to expand their market is huge.
It is. And then that also plays into having our Small Business Development Center on site here. We can do workshops with Sam Coleman. He's our director of Small Business Development. He will help them with business plans, talking with banks, anything that they need that type of help with. Happy to say that we've actually had 202 participants so far.
Wow.
since the beginning of this. There's been 46 jobs created, and we have assisted with 32 new businesses.
That's awesome. That's such good metrics.
It is something that, we're pretty proud of. Jeannie Allen is our director of this initiative. She is so community minded.
Yeah.
Everybody here knows her. She grew up, she was, here in Middlesboro, and she goes out and she just has that hometown feel that these artisans and these crafters have, or that they need, because they're not sure, and this is a hobby for them, and sometimes it can be a little difficult to make them believe that they can do this, and they can start selling this online, and then maybe eventually work into a brick and mortar.
Yeah Definitely. We're seeing that even more in like Main Street revitalization of local communities in rural areas, that the people are getting a lot of lead work online, and then there's opening little mom and pop shops. And that's part of the charm of rural, is that you have access to those kinds of communities. So,
well, if it's okay with you, I will lead into something that you just brought up with revitalization.
Yes, let's go.
Southeast also has another project through ARC. It's the Southeast Kentucky Revitalization Project. And basically what it does, it's a 3-year workforce development project. It's in 4 of our counties and Perry County as well. Oh, and so what they do is it helps make employees more skilled, our communities more livable, regions more desirable for outside investments. They focus on construction, design, hospitality training. They did a mural fest. We now have 3 buildings, I believe, that have murals on them. One in Harlan County. No, I think they're all in Harlan County, as a matter of fact.
Okay.
So it's just something kind of different. They do mold mitigation, asbestos mitigation. So they hire these companies to come in, and they train people to help them do these jobs in these buildings that they're trying to revitalize for these downtown communities. And they get paid a wage while they do it. So it's a pretty neat little project.
Oh, that's awesome. So they're taking unemployed within the regions, and then they're working on those projects, upskilling them, and then hopefully they can work in jobs relevant to that skill after that project's done.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's awesome. That's really cool. I love small towns, and I think that that's such a good way to, the tourism around small towns, and like there's a lot of research around it's going to a more people-focused economy, and those small areas are really tapping into that. I love that.
We're going to have a maker space on campus as well.
And which campus are you going to open that on?
This will be at our Middlesboro campus.
Oh, that's good. What are you hoping to do with Makerspace? We are really interested in moving entrepreneurship into that area.
Well, what this is they're actually going to call our Makerspace Ideas, which is the innovation, design, and entrepreneurship at Southeast.
Oh, I love that. I love acronyms. I'm a big acronym nerd.
Yeah. And we have so many of them. Nobody ever knows what we're talking about because we throw those acronyms out there. We got a grant through Toyota Toshu, and hopefully we'll have this open during the spring 2020 semester. It's going to have 3D printers, laser printers, and other tools eventually, which that would be determined by community need, to help bring ideas of aspiring entrepreneurs to reality. So it's unique to this partnership with Toyota Toshu in that they're going to provide mentors to consult with entrepreneurs about getting patents, products into international markets, or market in general, guidance with legal considerations, that type of thing. And
that's so important. Yeah,
and it's going to be open, be available during the weekdays, but also evenings and Saturdays for those people that work, that just have these little ideas they're tinkering with that they want to come in and try and see what they can do with.
That'll be really cool. And it'll be cool to see how it ties into the first project. What was it? Sell to the world?
Selling to the world.
Selling to the world, because those artisans would have access to a lot. They could also come in and use that space.
Absolutely.
Which would be, I love how it's all kind of integrated. That would be really cool. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to see all the work that you're doing. And I wanted to talk a little bit, because we talked broadly about the Eastern Kentucky landscape, but could you really hone in on why are we even talking entrepreneurship in that region? Maybe talk a little bit about the economic decline that's you all have faced, and how that ties into that piece?
Well, what we try to do is, our area, it's obviously coal generated or has been, for years. And the decline in coal, it's really diminished our population. There's an out-migration of people, they need jobs. They have to support their families. So they're going out and they're trying to find those jobs wherever they might be. We just recently had a huge layoff with Black Jewel Coal, and we were able to try and I guess kind of get them toward a job, a credential that was different from coal. So, a lot of these miners, they're generational workers. They've got great grandparents, parents, that have done these jobs. So we actually were able to put about 117 of the laid off Black Jewel miners into credential programs here at the college.
Wow. Okay. That's a lot.
Computerized machine. We had some in welding. We even had, I want to say 10 or 11 spouses of these laid off miners that we were able to put into some allied health courses, CNA, that type of thing.
Yeah.
So we just have to be aware of what's going on and I guess just put the hope back in the community. And unfortunately, we have a lot of drug addiction issues in our area as well.
Yeah.
So it's kind of taken the route where most of what we are trying to decide to do, and a lot of initiatives and programs that Dr. Adams and his team, are working on, they're closely related with Recovery to Work and trying to do programs with them. We can, even incorporating the Selling to the World initiative.
Right.
As part of that, Recovery to Work. You've got people in there that are very talented people. They can draw, they can make things, and it could just be something that they need to tap into a little bit more, get that confidence and get them ready for the workplace.
Yeah. And I love that you kind of highlighted the idea of instilling hope and getting that hope back. I think that a lot of times, sometimes people have this perception that if you can't get a job in that area that you could just leave. But a lot of people are really loyal to their community and they don't want to leave. And we shouldn't make that assumption that you could just leave.
Right.
And that's one of my biggest things that I try to instill is that like entrepreneurship and taking ownership of your own future can happen in your own community, especially if you're looking at like the Selling to the World and the digital economy. And so I love that you highlighted that a little bit because I think that's so important.
And I think that's where our partnerships with the K through 12 schools are very important and crucial as well.
Yeah.
To ensure that they understand the entrepreneurship and what they could possibly be able to do.
Yeah. I think one of my biggest talking points around the need for this kind of work, especially at the K-12 level, and we'll dive into that next, is the idea that right now in Appalachia, youth is one of the biggest exports. It's like one of the only parts of the country where the average age is increasing. And so it's crazy to me that there's not a lot of focus on that yet. And I know that we're on the kind of the forefront of that. And I'm excited about the community college partnerships around that space because I think it's so important.
Right.
Yeah. So I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about what we're doing together with EntreEd in Southeast Kentucky, maybe highlight the last grant, and then we can dive into kind of what you think looking forward for the next grant looks like. So if you could talk a little bit about the last program that we did together, that'd be great.
Okay. Well, the last grant, I kind of came in late on that one. And so I had to...
We're really pumped that you came.
So, and I am too. I had to do a little catching up, but it was very exciting to get out there into the K through 12 schools and talk to them about entrepreneurship. And I think one of the things that kind of surprised me the most is that they're already doing it. The majority of them, from the smallest little projects that because of EntreEd, they can turn into something maybe a little bit bigger and understand the sustainability piece of it. We had Melanie Denham, who worked with our region. She was just fabulous. She loved to talk to these people. She loved to talk in general, but she loves to
I
talk.
was going to say, she loves to talk and she loves to talk to people. She's great.
The educators and the teachers, from the administration down to the teachers. So we actually, I believe I have 10 school districts. And last year, I think I presented about, Amber, I'm probably going to get this number wrong, but I'm going to say at least 23 entrepreneurial school banners.
Yeah, I was going to say it's probably in the 25 range.
So we were really excited about that and how the school systems were buying in on it. We had one school that they applied for some project money to help with their project, and their school matched what they got from us.
Oh, that's awesome.
So they were able to, kind of double their money and go for that. So I think it's a wonderful thing. It is time consuming because there are a lot of schools, and in our areas, they're not all kind of together. My counties are spread out quite a bit, but I'm excited about the new grant. We do have a new county coming on, Claiborne County. If anybody from Claiborne County listens to this, look out. We're coming. So we're excited. It will be fun. The professional development sessions that the Adventure Group does, that you and Toy and you ladies take care of for us, they're amazing. And our teachers, we had 3 PD sessions last year. Over 115 teachers came to those 3 PD sessions. So I'd like to say we knocked that out of the park.
Yeah, you knocked it out.
And we got a lot of exposure that way because we actually had 2 or 3 schools who have not gotten their designation yet that we reached out to, and they were able to send some teachers. So now we know we have that feedback back in those schools. Mm-hmm. We're really hoping that when we go back in and visit them that they're going to be ready to go.
Yeah. And I love that you said that a lot of the schools are already doing this kind of work. It's just talking about it through an entrepreneurship lens, like introducing the word entrepreneurship, right? Because a lot of these schools are doing project-based learning. A lot of them have STEM initiatives. So we're really excited to make sure that teachers understand that it's not a heavy lift, that it's just a small tweak in how they're speaking about different things. I think, one of the outcomes from the first project that we saw was just strengthen relationships at the community college level to have the opportunity to start recruiting much earlier. And I'm excited that the new grant also includes middle school, because I think that will be really a good opportunity to get them in much earlier to the college campuses.
Right. And we have one school, they had a project and they were making T-shirts to sell. And part of their business plan, it was for 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. So what they did was the incoming 6th graders were trained by the 7th grader who was, just finished the 6th grade. So they kept it going that way with the hands-on, so that every 6th grader coming in was trained, by the person in front of them, I guess you would say.
And that's amazing. I mean, think about being in 7th grade and having that kind of experience of training another person.
Right.
Like I got into the workforce and you're tasked with training somebody at a skill set and you've never been taught how to delegate or how to lead. I think that's just there are so many intrinsic skills that you build around just like collaboration that you don't have the opportunity to often. So that's for sustainability of an initiative, that's huge.
Mm-hmm. And you get to touch on those things like you were talking about, your soft skills, you develop some leadership skills along the way with that as well.
Yeah. A lot of those like entrepreneurial mindsets that we preach about being one of the foundational things that come out of entrepreneurship programs in K-12. I think that's awesome how they decided to move forward with that.
Right.
Yeah. I'm excited. I think it'll be really cool. I do want to talk a little bit about, before we wrap up, because we're getting close to the end.
Okay.
So we hung out at NACCE, the National Association for Community College Entrepreneurship Conference, and a big focus of their programming this year was the idea of the future of work and kind of where are we heading. And I wanted to see if you could touch on that from a community college perspective, about where do you think the focus of workforce will be in like the next 5 years based on some of those trends?
Wow, I think
I know, big one. I know.
I think in the next 5 years, things are going to be constantly changing. I think occupations are going to be more innovative, more technologically advanced. We definitely are going to have to stay on top of how that trend is going. We have our college president, Dr. Adams. He, like I said, was previously in workforce. So he and our chief academic officer, they are constantly talking to individuals. They're in meetings, things like that. So they, as well as workforce, are on the ground as far as what's coming.
I think that's so important to have at the presidential level, to have somebody that is adaptive and views things from a workforce lens, because I know a lot of times in higher ed, you can get bogged down with hierarchy and different systems, and having a previous workforce lead in that position is so beneficial.
That is true. And we depend on our outside partners, community partners even, to help us with that knowledge as well. We do needs analysis with companies.
Mm-hmm.
We get out there. They're already talking about what's 5 years away.
Yeah.
What they're
right?
Yeah, what they're going to need, what kind of skilled workers they're going to need to have those kind of jobs. You could have a company that is going to take a person off a line and put a robot in there to do that job, but you've got to have somebody that's going to be able to maintain that robot. They're going to have to know how to work on that and keep it working and that type of thing. So I think we're just going to have to be able to continue to be flexible. Mm-hmm. That's one thing about workforce. We can customize whatever we need to, from curriculum to customized training, and give these companies what they're going to need. And we also have to make sure that we are aware of our resources around us that will allow us to be able to give them the best training that they're going to need.
Yeah, I think that's so important. So we typically like to end with like, what advice would you give to educators? And I think that's a huge one, is the flexibility. And I think also at a community college level, knowing how to market, how quickly your programs can adapt, especially as like high school students and college students today, they are in trajectories where those 4-year programs might become irrelevant by the time they graduate, right? So the community college, because it's so flexible, gives you a really big leg up in being able to be agile about your career.
Right. It does. And we just have to stay in constant communication with our instructors at the college level. I think they play a very important piece in what we do, even the entrepreneurial aspect of it, with our business instructors, our technical instructors, your plumbing, your HVAC, your electricals, carpentry, welding, the whole, family-owned businesses.
Yeah.
And startups, these young minds, they can, we're hoping to give them, better decision-making skills and confidence in facing challenges and problems. They need an I can attitude.
Yeah. And back to mindset for sure.
Yes. And I think that, our instructors are open-minded about that. And we try to include them with anything that we do. We have several full-time faculty that will do adjunct for workforce and do classes. We've done a professional development with them. We have, I think, 8 technical instructors that we did the Core 4 Entrepreneurial Smarts training with. So they have that to deliver into their classrooms. So that's just a very important piece. They need to stay on. We need to stay on board with them. They don't need to stay on board with us. We need to make sure that they know what's going on.
I think that's awesome, and that's such a good takeaway, is to make sure that collaboration across traditional silos is happening. So how can people, if they're interested in learning more about, Southeast's work and your work, how can people get in touch with you or the college?
Okay. They can go to our website. It's southeast.kctcs.edu. We have a Southeast Facebook page. There's also a Workforce SKCTC workforce page. There is also a Selling to the World Facebook page if anybody's interested in checking that out. You can call the college at 606-242-2145. You can email me directly at Sherri L. It's SHERRIL .clark@kctcs.edu. We would love to hear from you.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. I hope people reach out because you're doing a lot of really innovative things that could be really translated to any community college across the country. So yeah, well, thank you so much. This has been really exciting. I appreciate you coming on.
Well, thanks, Amber. And I'm sorry it took me so long to get here.
No, hey, better late than never, right? All right, you take care.
Thank you.